there's a group of atheists and agnostics that are like, you guys are full of it. This stuff doesn't, you really think this is, look,
Right.
go hunt,
Yeah.
go hunt. You
Yeah.
think this is coincidence? What you see,
Yeah.
whether it's looking into the sky, looking at how the birds act, looking at just this whole mess. You think that came from nothing? It
Yeah.
didn't. It
No.
didn't come from nothing. That is a designer. So obvious to me.
Yeah.
And to
Yeah.
some people who say, no, no, just popped up from nothing. That's a faith
Yeah.
in itself, in my opinion.
You're listening to the Dirt School Podcast. I'm your host, Casey Johnson. And if you like hunting, fishing, country stories, and learning lessons from those who live their lives in rural America, you're going to love this podcast. Brought to you by Hunt Real Outdoors. Well, welcome back to another episode of Dirt School Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, today we got Mr. Skip Sligh on here today. And Skip, I appreciate you taking the time to be on the podcast, brother.
No problem. Happy to be here.
Yeah, looking forward to the conversation. Always like to ask guys when we first get on here to just kind of tell me a little bit about themselves and where they from, what they do, and all that good stuff. So if you would, let the folks know who you are.
So I'm actually from Michigan originally and hunted just awful, ruined, degraded situations. It's a miracle I stayed a hunter with how bad it was. Um, so I literally believe I've seen the worst of the worst hunting all the way to the best of the best. So now I live in Iowa. I've lived in Iowa for 25 years. And I also started out, even in Michigan, I started out probably the worst situation possible in that I didn't have anywhere to hunt. If I did go, it was crowded public. I didn't see any deer. I didn't have access to great private land, or even in Michigan. And then going out to Iowa, I started from scratch here, just knocking on doors. And then um, when I was 21, I bought my first little farm, which that's a blessing. And that's just, a decade of trying to build that up. So I was able to do that.
Right.
And then, you know, from starting from that little farm that I was able to buy, which was just a miracle that I did it, I just kept growing and growing and growing and, just never stopped. And I probably won't stop as far as wanting to keep getting better and learn more and figure out what the next challenges are. And then really my mission now is just next generation of people, taking the kids out, getting kids involved, helping the sport of hunting, giving back. It's just, I'm at a place of service in my life now.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, would you say, going back to when you were in Michigan, would you say the fact that you didn't have good property maybe birthed inside of you something that wanted to develop farms and stuff like that to get a good piece of property, or what?
Oh, for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. If hypothetically, if somebody would have said, "Hey, your dad was rich and he had a couple hundred acres in Michigan that was set up," I probably wouldn't be in the situation. I know I wouldn't be in the situation I'm at now. So, having just such a horrible situation and then getting little glimpses of what
Right.
it was like better. And I don't want to say like grass is greener on the other side, but understanding, like, whoa, some of these guys, the stuff they're telling me, they got these great experiences, and my experience kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Definitely lit a fire. And then understanding, like, my buddies all of a sudden are like, "Hey, I went out of state hunting and here's what it was like." And I'm like, "Oh my goodness, that fueled the fire,
Yeah.
got
Now,
me
did
going."
you
So
did you move to Iowa specifically for hunting and land development and all that stuff?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I would say it's the full package though.
Yeah.
I got a job out here because, when I was 21, I think I had $40,000 to my name and I bought that farm. And then that was all my money. Well, now
Yeah.
I needed to earn money to pay for that land. So I took a job out here in the medical field, and that worked out beautifully. And the other things about Iowa that I really, really liked was everything wasn't ruined. Like the fishing's good, the small game's good, the pheasant, whatever down the list, everything's good. Um, so and then the culture of people. Not that, I grew up in West Michigan. The culture of people there are great, fantastic group of people. I grew up with some really, great memories there. and still friends with those people today. And I think about, my upbringing there all the time. But raising a family in Iowa, living in Iowa, liking to be a little more rural and out in the country and having
Right.
the opportunities. It's just the whole package. The quality of living here I love it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, go back to let's go back to that first farm that you bought when you were younger. You said 21?
Yep, 21.
21? Yeah, yeah, your first farm. Because over the last few years I've started buying a couple little pieces and then trying to upgrade just a little bit, you know. So what was that first farm like that you bought? Like how many acres was it and all that kind of stuff, if I can ask that question?
Yeah, you can ask whatever
Yeah.
question you want.
Yeah,
I'm an
okay.
open book now,
Yeah, that's
especially.
right.
So it was 80 acres. It was probably maybe 55 acres of woods, 50, and 30 acres of rough tillable.
Yeah.
When I bought it, nobody would even farm it. I think I didn't understand commodities at all. But if I look back, it was right around that year, within a year, like corn was at like a buck 50 or something. I didn't understand that. Right when I bought it, everybody's like, no, I'm not farming that. And then I got one guy who's like, I'll do your food plots, but I want to be able to farm it for free. And I'm like, oh, that's a good deal. So it was fairly rough. And I actually found that farm because I had permission across the road. I was just knocking on doors. And for 5 years after that, I just knocked on doors too. I still had an 80, but I still knocked on doors. I needed places to hunt. I hunted stuff that was crowded and millions of guys and no food. And, having a food plot on my own farm, that was the only farm I could have a food plot on, was a huge, whoa, that was wild because everywhere else I just had to hunt by funnels, pinch points, where the deer traveling, which is fine. And I probably did better even in those scenarios on my own farm. But the 80 definitely wasn't enough to be like, okay, both my brothers can come out there and we'll all hunt that. I mean, some guys do that. It wasn't
Right.
an 80 that you could do that though.
Yeah.
Um, so I kind of realized that that wouldn't be enough. And I saw the direction of hunting too, where even in Iowa, things were starting to get gobbled up a little bit and more crowded and guys fighting over this and that. And then it kind of just worked itself out where somebody wanted to buy that farm, and they really wanted it. And then I just bought stuff right across the road.
Yeah.
Um, and I thought that was a little bit better across the road. I'm like, I kind of like this a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I just kept building that up. And that was that at both those points, the 80 and then what I bought across the road. The goal then was that was it. That was it. I'm done. This is for the rest of my life. I'm just going to have these spots to hunt, maybe add more so I have enough spots just to hunt my own ground. But it wasn't about money. It wasn't about turning ground. It wasn't about, it's just, okay, I have a spot. All it was, I have a good spot to hunt. Nobody can kick me off. Nobody can lease it from under me,
Right.
and I can do the work on it. That's all the goal was, period.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've had, especially in Michigan, every time we shot even a good deer, like guys that hunted it for 20 years, these old guys that always shot their year and a half old buck, and they're like, got my buck. And they were just kind of grumpy,
Yeah.
crotchety, not excited to shoot these year and a half old bucks. I'm just this kid looking
Yeah.
at it. And then we'd shoot a big buck out there because we hunted hard.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
every time we did it, these crotchety, old, grumpy old men that shot their year and a half old buck, like, we're releasing that now. You're out of here, kids. Every time.
Oh, wow.
Every time. I'm just like, I'm so sick of that. Every time we shoot a big deer,
Yeah.
we end up losing it.
Yeah. Right. Well, let me ask you this as far as the farm stuff, buying a farm and things like that. What would you say? Because obviously you do that, you do it a lot. What would you say to guys who are really wanting to do that, but kind of almost feel like I don't know if I can? What would be your advice to a guy like that?
I would say first understand that when I started it, um, 25 years ago, and
Hmm.
granted, I was probably saving for land since I was 10, 11. Seriously, I was.
Yeah. Well,
putting
when you
into that.
said you had $40,000 while ago at 21 years old, kind
That
of
started
saved
at
up to
10
dirt.
years old.
Yeah, I was like, I
I
didn't
knew
have
it.
that when I was 21.
Yeah, I knew it at 10 years old.
Yeah,
I knew it at 10 years old that I wanted to buy land. I was a
yeah,
crazy obsessed outdoor kid, not hunting,
yeah,
but just being outdoors. And I love being, and even like single mom, I would beg my mom's friends. So I'm like, that guy has a pond. Can we just go catch frogs at his pond? And my mom would ask him, and
yeah,
he'd be like, yeah, your kids can come to my pond. And sometimes I couldn't even do that. Now we don't let anybody go by our pond. And it was as simple as that. Like, dude, I just want to catch frogs.
yeah,
I just want to catch turtles. And
yeah,
it was so hard, even in Michigan, for even that, that from a young age, I knew I wanted to own land. And it wasn't even about hunting then. It was so I started going. My grandpa was good with money. My parents were broke, but my grandpa was smart with money. And so my parents were smart with money. They just didn't have any. And they would be like, go to Edward D. Jones and just put your lawn mowing money into that account. So I'd show up there with like $20. Put that in that. Well, we're putting it in this. I'm like, I don't care, whatever my grandpa says.
right,
So I started investing it. So I knew that at a very young age.
right.
Um, so yeah, and so here's my point on that for somebody now. When I was 21, to have 40 grand was tough, but guys that were like, okay, I caught you. I'm 25. Now I have 40 grand too. Back then, 20 years ago, 90% of guys are like, dude, I can't do it, man. It's just too much.
Yeah,
Too much, and I can't save that 25,000, 50,000, 10,000. I can't save it. I got these truck payments. It's the same story then as
yeah,
it is now. Same story. And you say, well, there's these differences, ground prices have gotten higher. And, but when I started, interest rates were like 8%. There was no income on the ground,
right.
but it was cheaper. Yeah, it was, but there was no income.
Yeah,
And interest rates were obscene. And but still, it's no different. Not entirely, but 90% of the story is exact same 25 years ago.
right.
Oh, I can't do it. I can't afford that much. I spent all my money. I have this new truck. I waste all my money on all these things anyway. It's the same now.
Yeah,
There's no
yeah,
difference.
yeah.
No
It's
difference. I hear
it,
the same objections now
yeah.
as I did 25 years ago.
It's really kind of maybe like more about what you prioritize. If you
100%.
prioritize it, then it makes it easier. But like you said, we spend a lot of our money on things that really don't matter.
So 25 years from now,
Yeah,
people are going to be talking about not, they're going to be, yeah, but back in 2025, it was this, and
yeah,
you could buy this. And somebody could rewind this 25 years later as a time capsule and be like, no, it's way harder now. And it's always this, it's always got its obstacles.
right.
Owning land will always have the same fundamental obstacles. Um, well, it's higher price, inflation. I get all this stuff, but I
Yeah,
hear the exact same arguments
right.
now that I did 25 years ago. And 25 years from now, you're going to hear the same arguments that you do today. It's
Yeah,
not going to
yeah.
change.
Well, my first piece that I bought, I went in with a buddy of mine. We went in together and we bought a 60-acre farm in Arkansas, which is it's probably about an hour from right here where I live now. And I mean, I learned some stuff on, and it probably didn't hurt that when he and I went and looked at it with a realtor that we saw a real nice buck when we were out there walking it. So it was like sold us on it. But it was a WRP track. Now the problem is, and I'm fortunate that I was able to get rid of it and made money on it after owning it like 10 years. But it had a lifetime easement on it.
Well, I know
Well, well,
WRP. I'm very
well,
familiar.
well, back then, man, we were just looking for hunting ground. I was like, man, they love WRP. This is gonna be great. And of course, I killed the second year we had it, I killed a 147-inch buck on it. I mean, just real mature buck. But I only killed a few deer off of it in the time that I had it because I didn't really get to hunt it that much because I went into vocational evangelism. So I was traveling all over the country preaching and stuff, and so I didn't have time to hunt it. So anyway, I finally got rid of it. But buddy, I learned through that the whole lifetime easement. Like the whole property was a lifetime easement. I couldn't clear anything. I couldn't, well, I mean, I could, but I had to go through a lot of hoops and stuff
Yeah.
to get a little bit and stuff. And I was like, dude, I don't want to do that again as far as a lifetime easement. I don't even know if they do those anymore
Oh
or
yeah,
not.
very
They
common.
do.
I deal with
Okay.
it all. I deal with WRP ground all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know if they
So,
did the lifetime easement stuff,
oh yeah.
where it's a lifetime plan.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that program will probably continue to grow
Yeah.
even under Trump.
Yeah.
There's a lot of and there's a lot of merit to putting ground in WRP. Actually, I'm actually a
Yeah.
big fan of that program.
Yeah. Yeah. I
But
love WRP. I just didn't like the fact that I couldn't do
oh
nothing.
no, no,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's two sides of me here.
Yeah.
There's the side that says, do I like what that program does for our
Yeah.
environment, for
Yeah.
our water, for all these things? Absolutely, I do.
Yeah.
Do I like that as a landowner on the limitations?
Right.
No, not
No.
really.
Yeah.
And I would buy a WRP track. It's just I would want to just pay market for it. And what happens is sometimes guys don't necessarily catch on that how much value is really taken off of that farm uh, because of that. So as long as you're like, whatever things are $5,000 an acre here. Well, there's a WRP track that better not be five. It better not be four. It better not even probably be three. It better be at least like half,
Yeah.
and like half of what ground's going for, at least. Um, and like I remember things in Iowa where ground was going for like $3,500, and you could buy WRP for 800 to 1,000.
Right.
Now depends where it's at, depends on the proximity to the metro, but now it'd be more like 2,000 to 4,000, and that's actually probably a higher ratio to what market value is on land. It's probably about the same, maybe a little more though, but it's still valued less. And once
Yeah.
in a while, I'll see one that slips through the cracks where somebody pays like like regular hunting ground is going for whatever. I'm just making up a figure, 7,000, and some guy will pay six, and I'm like, whoa,
Yeah. Yeah.
you're nuts.
Yeah. Well, the reason that the WRP property around here even sells
Oh,
for
I
what it
know,
sells
is
for is
ducks,
usually
waterfall,
yeah, it's usually
waterfowl.
because of the deer hunting.
Oh,
It
it's
has
deer
nothing to
hunting.
yeah, it's nothing to do with the trees or anything like that. Guys are just like, oh, that's WRP. That's gonna be good deer hunting property. So yeah.
So it sells high.
Yeah, well, when I bought it back then, it was 750 an acre, but there's WRP ground now going for $3,000 an acre all day.
What would regular ground be going for if it wasn't in WRP? Or that
Mm,
same farm, not in
it,
WRP.
it it'd probably be 35, something like that. If it's farm ground, it's gonna be 5 or 6 or something like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is what I would do. I would just buy the ground for five or six, take the WRP payment, and then convert it. And then all the conversions that
Yeah.
they pay to, do this, that, all the habitats, they pay you to do it.
Yeah.
So it's crazy somebody would pay that much for the end product when you could buy the income ground for a little bit more and then get the huge WRP payment.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I wouldn't do that. But
Yeah.
you guys are just thinking's a little different down
So,
there, I
hey,
guess.
I'm not buying any of it. I was like,
But a lot of people
a
are. That's
lot of people
wild. It
are.
brings that kind of money.
Yeah, a lot of people are. Yeah, and a lot of times it's strictly, they want the hunting on it and stuff.
And,
So,
in Iowa, there's probably a different dynamic because production and income from ground, well, my ground rents for $250 an acre. That's a pretty big thing in Iowa. I'm going to just imagine, it's probably not as substantial down there. Um, and WRP down there, who knows? Maybe it's like more prone to flooding.
yeah,
So, I don't know the dynamic, but the fact that it's that close to market value, what people pay for WP, somebody, in my opinion, would be far wiser to just buy the raw land and convert it, get the check, then
right,
get the checks to do all the improvements.
right. Yeah,
Uh, do it the way you want it because you can kind of a little bit be the architect on those farms.
that's right. Yeah, yeah. Well, probably about 20 years ago, I guess, is really when uh WRP kind of really took off around here. Like a lot of the farmers, like a lot of them sold land and or they put it in tree programs,
Yep.
WRP, instead of farming it and stuff like that. And I mean, it seemed like every time you turn around, that was happening. That was happening. So now we got a lot of
Well,
WRP, you know?
well, think about it. If I go buy ground for $5,000 an acre up here,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of prone to flooding. It is. I could find examples like this up here where you're like, yeah, that crop does get washed out in bad years quite often, and it
Yeah.
needs a lot of tile up
Yeah.
here. And maybe they won't let me do the tile. Oh wait, the government will pay me $7,000 an acre to enroll this ground. Wait, I paid five. The
Right.
government will pay me seven. Yeah, that's like some numbers up here.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, and then I still own the ground, right?
Yeah.
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 And you're going to pay me to improve it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you get a check for, I'm making these numbers up, but say you pay five for it. You or paid five in the past, maybe it's six or seven now, but you paid five for it. The government writes you a check for seven. Then they pay you to do all the improvements or most of the cost share.
Right.
Then at the end of that, so you're like, okay, I got seven plus all the improvements. Oh, I still own the land.
Yeah.
I can still hunt there. Now there's restrictions on it, but
Right.
now I still own it. Oh, I'll go sell it for $3,500.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
It's a winner.
Yeah. It's a winner every time.
I would not want to be the end buyer on that, but that's just me.
Yeah. Right.
I'd want to be
Right.
the guy that's on the front end.
Yeah. No doubt.
I've
No
not
doubt.
done it, but I know a lot of people who have, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just farm my stuff.
Yeah. No, is that what you do like all the time? You just farm all the properties you have or
Yeah, it changes
yeah.
every year. So
Yeah.
I gotta have the flexibility to farm things because sometimes I'll have something where um there's not a good farmer in the area. There's the guys are not taking good care of the ground, and I need to spend several years bringing it back up and
Right.
fixing a lot of things. There's a lot of it's just like anything in life. There's good, bad, highly motivated people, people who just cut a lot of corners. With farmers, especially when they're renting, they cut
Right.
a lot of corners. Well, I'll get those farms and be like, you cut corners for 20 years.
Yeah.
And I got to fix sometimes longer. And then I got to fix these decades worth of mistakes. So I just farm it myself.
Yeah.
And I almost farm it more for the reason of fixing the land, letting it heal, stopping erosion, building the soil, building the fertility, fixing the drainage issues, fixing any erosion. That's kind of more the reason I'll farm it. The other reason I'll farm it is like, if somebody's like ground is renting for $200 an acre and it's a bit far for me, but somebody's like, I'll give you $100. And the next guy's like, I'll give you 125. And that doesn't generally happen, but and they just want to lowball me. I'll just be
Right.
okay, I'll just do it myself. And
Yeah.
then so I'll just farm what needs to be farmed, really, what needs the most work, what needs the most help. And that's kind of my skill set is putting all the things into the whole package of farming to make it far better. And then the stuff that's like dialed in, perfected, really doesn't need anything. I'll rent some of that out. And then especially on years where I'm like, okay, I got this huge conservation reserve program to, CRP planning to do, or this massive tree planting to do, or, XYZ project, or I'm taking this farm on where I got to go farm all these acres. Then I'll just maybe rent more here. So how much I farm every year just changes fluidly.
Yeah.
One year it might be a couple hundred. One year it might be a couple thousand. I mean, the most I ever do is maybe a couple. The most I've ever done, I think, is like 2,000,
Yeah.
and everything in between. So
Yeah.
some years it's minimal, some years it's a lot.
Right. Yeah. That keeps you pretty busy.
Oh, oh. I'm this year I'm maybe the most overloaded I've ever been. Just
Yeah. Yeah.
projects and um some new farms and fixing up. So, I've got orchards and tree nurseries and timber that, I manage. One could say I managed it for retirement. And if somebody said, you can't put any money into an IRA, 401k, and if somebody handcuffed me here, I'm making this up, it's silly, but if somebody said, you can't even get crop income by the time you retire, my trees would take care of me because I just
Yeah.
manage it, for the long haul. Now I enjoy doing it, and it's the right thing to do too, to manage your forest properly. And some people do look at it strictly like that's my retirement. It's a wooded IRA, it's a wooded 401k. And it is. There's an immense amount, in Iowa, and I know Louisiana's got logging dynamics too. And you guys have such a longer growing season that you can probably be more lucrative in certain ways. But we can set up things here if done properly, and they never are. But if done properly, you could log your ground on certain species of trees, doing it a certain way, like every 10 years. You could get it on a 5-year cycle if you wanted,
Yeah.
um, where you're only doing certain areas every
Right.
5 years. But I'll probably run mine to, like, I could do a timber sale tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. I don't need the money, and I got stuff that I'm like, it's not quite ready anyway. And the market's down.
Yeah.
Well, so all of a sudden there's like three variables why I don't want to do it. But yeah, I could do a project tomorrow. Well, my idea is just like, I'll just save that for if I need it, when I want it, when things are totally ripe. And I can just wait till the fruit is totally ripe and the market's good. And, I'm slowing down.
Right.
Um, let's pick that fruit when it's ripe. And that's the only time I'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't
Yeah.
not doesn't mean that's what anybody else needs to do. It's just how I view it and what I do
Sure.
now. And had you asked me like at 21 if this was part of my equation, if this was part of my plan, if I even thought along those lines, no. I
Right.
didn't even think of this stuff. I didn't know this existed
Right.
until
Yeah.
later on in life.
Yeah. Yeah. I got you. Here's what I want to do. I've got some questions that I wanted to ask you and get your response on the questions. But before I do, I'm gonna take this is when I wanted to let you know, like when I came to a place to where I said, I want to talk to that guy. Talking about you. I watched I was following your I don't know. I was following your Instagram or something, maybe. I can't remember. Social media nowadays, you can't get away. So,
I
I,
do.
yeah, I was,
I look at 5 posts. I'll go
yeah,
on Instagram and I'll look at 5 posts and I shut it off.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So whatever the first five are, I'm just
yeah,
like that. And
yeah,
no, I get it.
yeah. So I was following your Instagram, and you were on there, and I tried to scroll back and find this, and I couldn't find it again. But anyway, you gave. Man, it was like you gave a gospel presentation there, and you were something like you was telling people about placing their faith in Jesus, and that's what really matters, and something like that. Do you remember that? Yeah.
Oh, for
So,
sure.
so when I saw that, I was like, yeah, I want to talk to him because I'm a
Yeah.
pastor at a Baptist church here where I'm at, and been pastoring at this church for 11 years. And like I said earlier, before that, I traveled around and preached revivals and things like that. And so anyway, my whole point of everything that I'm doing in the outdoor industry is, I mean, God's blessed us with this creation to be able to enjoy it, to take care of it, and to love it, and to love Him, and then try to mix those two things together. I tell people all the time, I love Jesus the most.
Oh,
That
yeah.
that's what's most important. He's what's most important to me and my family and my life. And then secondly, behind all of that is hunting. So why
Yeah.
not merge those two things together,
Well, they do go
So
together,
yeah,
and there's a deeper point and a more serious point on that. Like all this stuff right here, and as far as hunting goes, and as far as land and um being broke to having money or having possessions and land land is still just stuff. It's just a thing. It's some people love their car. Man, I got this old sports car, and I have no problem with that.
right.
I got this 69 Camaro. It's just a thing.
Yeah,
And land's just a thing too. And these deer right here, they're just things. And you know,
yeah,
I'm not gonna go out of this planet with these.
right,
These things don't mean anything in the big picture. Now where they do mean something is that this was an experience in God's creation, and God gave me these blessings, and God gave us the abilities to be stewards of the land, to take good care of the environment, to manage to manage the animals, to manage the fisheries, to be responsible with things, to get,
Right.
you know, and I would say there's an argument, this is way down the rabbit hole, and I'm not going to mix religion and deer to this, but like managing for balanced age structures, healthy herds and stuff, just health of the whole ecosystem. I
Right.
think there's a responsibility that man has to make it better. And every time I'm out hunting for these things, it's in God's outdoors, right?
Right.
It's not in some man-made city of skyscrapers and cement, which, you know, I don't have any problem with that either, but it's in God's creation. And it's like God gave me these abilities to be able to go do this and be in his outdoors and give me these blessings. And, you know, for sure I'm at a point where I totally get that. And, you know, could I sit here and teach people how to hunt better all day and how to manage farms all day? Yes. And I could, and I know this intimately, and I will do that. I love doing that. But to say that it's even remotely close to as important as where you're going to spend eternity would be silly. You know, I mean,
Right.
this is a blip,
Yeah.
right? This is a little blip on the timeline,
Yeah.
and where we're going to spend eternity is far greater. And I don't think some people grasp that. Like,
Right.
see
Yeah.
the end and go, eternity is just as
Yeah.
huge. And
Yeah.
it's like this when I'm at the farm and I'm working by myself. I mean, this is a positive thing. I say this with a smile on my face. Like, you know, you think like deeply when you're farming, deeply.
Right.
And you go, eternity is a long time, and you better have your stuff right. You better have accepted that gift of salvation that Jesus
Right.
Christ offered you. And really, you know, from my life where messages like that come out, it's like, listen, I'm a servant now. I'm a
Yeah. Right.
servant for kids to get into hunting. I'm a servant to let's make hunting better for everybody. I'm a servant in that God says, you know, we need to be fishers of men and
Yeah.
spread the gospel and
Yeah.
teach others, you know. And I would also be the first one to say, I'm very far from perfect,
Right.
you know. I'll hear a lot of people be like, you know, that guy's a Bible thumper and he's a, you know, Jesus freak or something. And really I'd be like, dude, that's great. You're using a little bit as a derogatory term, you know. I know
Yeah.
what you're saying by that.
Yeah.
But then he does these things, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't act like that. And that's a problem. I get it. Um, but I'm not perfect. I'm a
Right.
sinner and
Yeah.
I need God's forgiveness just like everybody else does. And
Right.
you and I know this, and that's what I'm saying is I want more people to understand this
Right.
and more people to take that gift, right?
Yeah. Right.
Because, you know, there's a group of atheists and agnostics that are like, you guys are full of it. This stuff doesn't, you really think this is, look,
Right.
go
Yeah.
hunt. You
Yeah.
think this is coincidence? What you see?
Yeah.
You know, whether it's looking into the sky, looking at how the birds act, looking at just this whole mess. You think that came from nothing? It
Yeah.
didn't. It
No.
didn't come from nothing. That is a designer. So obvious to me.
Yeah.
And to
Yeah.
some people who say, no, just popped up from nothing. That's a faith
Yeah.
in itself, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. 100%.
So, you know, that's just the point of my life is like I still have a lot of growth in my faith.
Right.
And even though I kind of have hunting figured out, I still have a lot of growth there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the life journey. And guess what? In 20 years, if I'm alive in 20 years, um, I'll still be learning things about hunting, right? I'll still be learning things about farming. I don't know it all, far
Right.
from it. And
Right.
it is the same thing with our faith. And there's a whole lot of things that I sit there and question every day, like, man, yeah, that is complex. How do I,
Right.
you know, and some things we're not meant to understand
Well, I
either.
mean, the Bible even says his ways are higher than our ways,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
our finite minds are trying to understand an infinite God, and it's hard to do that.
Yeah, we're nothing.
Yeah.
We're nothing. I'm nothing.
Yeah.
You know, I'm special. I'm God's creation in that sense, but I'm nothing in the sense in the comparison of God's wisdom, God's understanding of this world. You know, don't lean on your own understanding.
Right.
You know,
Right. Yeah.
Proverbs. You know, and some of these intellectuals, and I can talk a intellectual discussion on a lot of different issues, science
Right.
or
Yeah.
physics or whatever. I understand where these people come from, but some of these people that are just these big brains, these big
Yeah.
intellects, and God doesn't exist because you don't understand quantum physics, and this is how the universe is expanding, and there's this many solar systems and galaxies, and
Yeah.
that they don't understand it. They don't
Yeah.
have the
Right. Right.
answers.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
have the answers, and if we rely on other men, wise men, for our answers, men are infantile compared to God's wisdom, and
Yeah.
so I believe it to my core. Um, and I just personally try and come at it with an honesty that I'm flawed. I'm far from perfect.
Sure.
I grew up in certain times where I'm like of this world. Like I went to college and would go out drinking and be an
Right.
idiot,
Yeah.
do stupid things. Um, and, there were some points in my life where I'm like, I don't think that's what I should be doing with myself.
Right.
And, like a little examples, like, I'd go out and kind of get kind of annihilated with my buddies drunk. And
Right.
I'm like, it's probably not what God wants me to do in my life. And I
Right.
just quit drinking. And I haven't
Yeah.
drank in, 10, 15 years. And
Yeah.
some people would be like, oh, what happened? You get a drunk guy. No, no, it's
No.
just, it wasn't, it's not how I believed I should be living my life. Now,
Yeah.
my friends can go out, I can go out with them and they can have drinks. I'm not judging.
Yeah.
I'm not
Right.
judging at all.
Right.
And, I know a lot of people who are like, faith isn't that important to me either. And, maybe I wouldn't want necessarily that to be my best friend, but more I would want them to be like, it should be,
Yeah. Right.
and
Yeah.
let's talk about it,
Sure. Well, it goes back to that you were talking about a while ago. Eternity is so long, and we don't really comprehend how long that is, or comprehend that we're just a blip. We're just here. I saw a illustration one time. I think it was Francis Chan, maybe a preacher. He had like a 50-foot rope, and then he stretched that rope out during that sermon, and then on the end of that rope he had about 4 inches of red tape, and he stretched that 50-foot rope out, and he said that red tape, that's our life, and he said the rest of that is eternity.
yeah.
And that's what it looks like, and I'm like,
He,
yeah.
here's what I think happens with a lot of people. I really believe this. I think most of them will hear this right here, right here, and they'll kind of brush past it. They won't think of it. But I think there's a few seeds that get planted in
Mhm.
somebody's subconscious. And I think maybe some people who are kind of like on the fence or agnostic or maybe even atheists or, not thinking about this stuff. There's going to be a point, maybe you're out hunting. Maybe you see a bad accident. Maybe something bad happens. Maybe something really great happens. And all of a sudden this light is going to go off. And there's this feeling. Here's what happens with me. I can't, but I would suspect this is going to happen with somebody else.
Right.
You get this feeling, you're like, I know, I know
Yeah.
that this world is made by the creator, and that there's God is very, very real. And
Right.
it's a sense. It's like the Holy Spirit. It's like, it's something I can't even put into words, right?
Yeah.
It's this feeling. And I hope everybody feels it. And I'd have to look back biblically, because I always like to talk biblically, like,
Right. Sure.
and not get anything wrong in that context. But I think everybody has that feeling. I know I do, and I
Yeah.
know I talk to hundreds of people like, dude, I know it. I know
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And it's not cliche. It's not no, I just feel warm and fuzzy. I know God love. No, no, no. There's this overwhelming stuff it's like a sixth sense, right?
Yeah. Right.
Like a red pill.
Yeah.
Like, whoa,
Yeah.
this isn't it. It's kind
Yeah.
of like the dude seeing the Matrix in the movie The Matrix,
Yeah.
like, oh, this world isn't really real. Here's the real world. And
Right.
just
Yeah.
understanding that. I think so. The people that skim past this part and like, oh gosh, they're talking about religion again. I do believe that all those people are at some point are going to go, oh man.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I've met
Well,
people at the end of their life,
right.
that are like, screw all that stuff. And at the
Yeah.
end, they went,
Oh
I was
man.
talking to somebody the other day, 80 some years old, and within days of their lives, this is a friend of a friend. And basically, long story short, is they lived their whole life. Nope, doesn't exist. Baloney. I'm living my life my way. And at the very end of their life, they said, "Do you think Jesus has room for me up there?"
Mm.
because I think
Oh
that
yeah,
feeling
yeah,
hit them.
yeah,
Oh, I'm about ready to go to the other side.
right, yeah,
There is another side.
yeah, yeah.
And
All
is
that
it?
started clicking.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I had the privilege a couple of weeks ago. I've got a gentleman in my church, and I think he's 83. I can't remember. He's somewhere right around the 80 mark. But I had the privilege of baptizing him the other day. He come to that place to where he said, "Man, I just need genuine faith in Jesus," and and so I had to I got a chance to baptize him, which is pretty sweet, to watch him get saved and baptized. But yeah, man, I think I think I saw a statistic one time. It was like 90, I think it was 95, 98% of the world worship something. Now, there may be false gods, obviously, but my point being is that what you said is that there's something in us that desires to worship something bigger than us. And the reason why is because God created all of us to worship Him. And so, even if a person resists and does not believe, there's something in us, there's like a God shaped void that we're longing to worship the one true living God. It's just people get it wrong sometimes. You know what I mean? And worship the wrong thing. But I'm saying, what I'm trying to say is we were designed to worship Him.
Yeah. I
Sin
mean,
messes all that up, but we were designed to worship Him. He created us to worship Him.
yeah, and I think it's important enough that one of the commandments was written as such, um to not worship false idols or have
Right.
any other gods before me. And you know, it goes through my head. It
Mhm.
goes through my head like, don't make hunting your god. Don't make
Right.
these your
Yes.
god, right?
Yeah.
And don't make like, I have a lot of farms.
Yeah.
Don't make those your gods. If I wanted to, I could sell my farms and make lots of money
Hmm.
if I loved money,
Right.
and that goes through my head too. And, I'm not saying like these aren't struggles for me,
Right.
or, everybody has these struggles, but, I just think it's important, whatever that thing is for you, dude, I love, whatever it is, that you just say it's still just a thing. It's just a possession. And I just can't emphasize that enough. These are just things. And,
Right.
I talked to somebody that was going bankrupt, and they were like losing their mind that, like, I'm done, I'm lost, my life's over. I'm like, listen, dude, we're all gonna go bankrupt. They
Yeah.
all are. I'm gonna lose all my land that I have. Somebody's like, well, what would happen if you realize that you were gonna lose all your land? I'm like, I'm going to.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
all gonna be taken away from me. I cannot take this land with me.
Right.
And, I'm, like I said, I'm not saying that I don't struggle with these things. And I want to be able to say this to with a straight face so I can also relate to other people. But like, I do struggle with these things, but I make a very, very conscious effort to say I don't love money, and I don't.
Right.
I don't.
Yeah.
Do I love being outdoors? Yes. Do I love hunting? Yes. Do I love being in God's creation? Absolutely, I do. Are these blessings that, are just experiences that we're still related to God, and, and part of that whole experience? Yes. But it's not my God,
Right.
and there is only one God. So
Yeah.
whatever it is,
Well,
land, possessions, all these
yeah,
things, the earth.
that's why I'm thankful that He's given us His Holy Spirit. Because the Scripture says that the spirit and the flesh battle daily, that we don't do what we want to do. And so I'm thankful for His Holy Spirit that helps remind me every day. Don't make that thing that you love your God.
Yeah,
Keep God being the center of your life. And it is a struggle every day. I mean, that's that battle that you're talking about every day. So anyway, just get, I don't know, man. I just try to, it's like you say, I try to use, the hunting platform and what I love to do with hunting as a means to be able to talk about the Lord and talk about the gospel and talk about the Creator and how much He loves us and cares for us and blessed us. But ultimately, in the end, to remind us that it's about Him. The whole
for
thing's about
sure.
Him.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, like, my friends that have done like, they go to like Haiti and do these different ministries or
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
they'll go there with like medicine, and one of
Yeah.
them's a dentist and he'll do dental care.
Yeah.
Is he really going there to do dental care? Is
Yeah.
that really the reason he's there? It's
Right. Right.
hey, while we're doing these great things for you because we care for you and love you, by the way, we want
Yeah.
it. We want it, it's spreading the gospel.
Yeah.
It's what we're called to do, right?
Yeah.
So if I sat here in my little world as an insignificant, just blip, God loves me, I'm special in that regard, but just a blip of a person. And I just talked about hunting and farms, but I never mentioned some of that other stuff. I'd be missing the mark there. And I think we're called, and it is like, I think that's kind of our duty to, hey, this is how I get that
Yeah.
message in there.
Yeah. Right.
Am I going to be the guy that just beats it over somebody's head? No,
No.
I think
Right.
there's a way to do it.
Yeah.
But if you just speak the truth and
Yeah.
talk about what we truly believe are the facts and our faith,
Right.
I think that's what we're called to do.
Yeah. And the cool thing about this is, at least for you and what you do is uh, farming, planting seed and growing and things like that. Jesus used a lot to be able to articulate, faith and stuff. So you got a really good avenue, you know what I mean, with farming, planting, and watching things grow and stuff like that. I've got a farmer friend of mine. Matter of fact, it's the guy that I bought that first piece of property with, and he was a farmer, and he used to always tell me, he said, "Man, I love like when it's been really hot." And he said, "And my corn, I drive by my corn, and it's like it's just it's just hanging like this, and then a good rain comes, and he said it's almost like the corn just lifts up like this." And he said it just reminds me so much of worshiping the Creator, like even the plants are worshiping the Creator. And I was like, man, that's just good stuff.
And we can have periods in our lives which are big struggles, right? Where
Yeah,
we're kind of like that plant, kind of wilting and having a
wilting.
real big challenge. And
Yeah.
um, you know, yeah,
That's good
yeah,
stuff, man. Good stuff. I appreciate that conversation. All right, I'm gonna move on to another question here. That's the most important thing that I wanted to talk about, but I want to get to some other stuff too because I know folks will be interested in this as well. So here's my big question for you. Maybe a simple answer because I'm looking at all them deer you got back there and I'm looking at this, and those are
I
blessings,
shot
no doubt.
these. I
Yeah, yeah,
shot
yeah.
deer like this that are
That's right.
way smaller than that.
Yeah,
Way smaller,
yeah.
little guys.
But here's
I
my
shot a year and a
question.
half full bucks.
Why don't you film your hunts?
Um, Good question. That's a great question. So for probably 20 years,
Mhm.
uh, since I started hunting since I was a little kid, so 30 years, every time I shot a big deer, it had negative consequences. All these old timers, stubborn old schoolers that wanted to blast a year and a half full bucks, they always got me kicked off farms. They always leased it.
Yeah,
Um, every time I built a little farm, little 80, and people are like, oh, look what he got. Or they
right.
found out. All of a sudden I'm like, now I have 5 more guys on the fence. So
Yeah,
I just I got burned over and over and over and over where I'm like, really? Because I shoot a big deer that I could do anywhere.
right.
Now I get targeted or I lose this piece or, you know. So I just said, I'm going to be quiet. I'm just going to shut my mouth.
Yeah,
Um, and I would get asked every year. And so I didn't want to put that bullseye on my back and cause myself so many issues. The second reason would be I like the one-on-one, just me, right? Just me, my own head, uh, peace and quiet, no extra hassle. The third thing, which would kind of branch off of that, I did have some friends who people would know, in the industry,
right.
were like, if I talk to them privately, not with a camera there, they're like, dude, I don't even like hunting anymore. I've heard
Yeah,
that. I don't even
right.
like it. It's a
Yeah,
job.
yeah,
Or, yeah, I shot all these bucks. You know, I just did it for the footage. I don't want to do that.
yeah, Yeah.
I have no desire to be
Yeah.
in that situation.
Yeah.
So, and once I got to a point where I'm like, I'm not worried about the stuff I was before, like guys targeting me. I'm kind of set. After 30 years of doing this, yes, I'm
Right.
set.
Yeah.
Working my butt off for 30 years and still working my butt off. Um, Now I don't really care, but I could go film, and now that a lot of those elements would be gone.
Right.
Um, I did it one time for Midwest Whitetail, and here was the agreement that they just said, "Hey, dude, we want you to do just habitat, just teach, just give information." I said, "Okay." I kind of got talked into like, just you got to show the results one time. I said, "Okay, I'll film one time.
Yeah.
I'll film for 1 year," and I did for 1 year. Um, I don't know. Maybe I'd do it again, but it'd have to be like for the right reasons, and I'd have to enjoy it, and there'd have to be some kind of story or cause behind it, or I don't know. But I guess that's the real reasons is,
Yeah.
one, I didn't want to put a bullseye on myself. I liked living as a hermit, very
Yeah.
quiet.
Right.
I did. And I was outspoken on like regulations or some of the things in forums, but not putting my films, my hunts out there, very quiet there.
Right.
Um, and if it wasn't a hassle now and I enjoyed it, maybe I'd do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Now,
But
do you
the
film your hunts at all and just not show it, or do you just not film it?
don't film.
No.
I film it
No.
up here,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
place that matters.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a good point.
I have I have a little camcorder I bring with me,
Mhm.
and like, some of these guys will come. My buddies will be like, "Yeah, this one's $5,000 or 10 or 2 or whatever," and I'm like, "This one is $300."
Yeah.
And then they'll look through my footage, and they'll be like, "Dude, you have more footage on this little $300 camera than,"
Yeah.
but I mean, mind-boggling. I'm like,
Yeah.
nobody's ever
Right.
gonna see it.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I don't know. I guess I don't care at this point, but
Right.
my son does like it. He's like, "Dad, I think it's cool. I think it's fun." I'm like, "Then do it."
Yeah.
So
Right.
I don't have any problem with it.
Yeah.
I don't my a lot of my friends do it. I have zero problems with it.
Yeah.
So clearly I'm saying, these are my reasons, but it's not like I'm like, "Oh, I don't like people who film or something." No, and that's not the case at all. It
Sure.
just wasn't for me.
Right.
Um, Maybe I'll change my mind. I don't know. But my
Yeah.
boy loves to do it. He's like, "Oh, that's fun, Dad." I do.
Yeah.
Do it then.
Yeah.
So he'll
I
probably film a hunt this year.
I love the I like to go out by myself. I self film. Everything I do self film. I just like to self film, when I'm hunting. And it's just kind of I like being by myself and figuring it out and all that kind of stuff by myself. So,
Yeah.
but I also deeply understand how whoever it was that told you behind the scenes, man, I'm just tired of all this stuff, or what.
Oh,
It can be such a, and I don't even do it. I don't do it for a living. I just do it for myself,
yeah.
a YouTube channel or whatever. But man, it just gets so, sometimes you just like, I just want to throw all this stuff away and just go hunt.
Right.
So,
Well,
and I
like,
probably should do that, but I go
and
through these seasons where it's like I'm feeling that way for a few weeks, and then I snap out of it.
yeah,
Because I do
and
like the filming and the editing side of things too.
yeah, no, and that's where most people I know they fit into that. They're like, "Dude, I really enjoy it."
Yeah,
And there's things about hunting right now without filming that I don't like. It's not like it's all just easy and
sure.
perfect, and I just show up and hunt a few times and shoot a big deer. There's things that are not fun, but
Right,
that's with anything in life.
right,
Um, if somebody said, "Hey, you gotta film," and by the way, you have to mention 20 different sponsors every time you talk. I mean, that's extreme, but
right.
and rep these products that you think are garbage, but say they're great. That one would be a tough one for me too.
Yeah,
Um, if and I suppose if I film now, um, I guess it would cost money to put things together and edit and to do all these things. There'd be a cost to it. I'd have
yeah,
to buy this camera. Could I do it on my own? Sure.
Yeah.
Uh, if I did it and I'm like, I'm going to make this a quasi little business, just to pay for the expenses, if that's what I wanted to do. And if that's how I wanted to do it, I could
Right.
be like, there's a few products I use that I really do believe in that I think I could do them some justice, highlighting it, use them. And I know probably know the people anyway. And maybe we could work something out that made sense just so I could maybe break even or something. I don't know.
Right.
That's how I do it if I ever did do it,
Yeah.
but probably won't do it.
Yeah. Well, well, it doesn't matter. You're still killing big deer and enjoying yourself and
And
enjoying
even
life.
if it
So
wasn't,
that's
even if
right.
it wasn't, I don't care.
That's
I
right.
don't I don't care anymore. Like,
Yeah.
you know, the ego, I gotta shoot a deer. I got this
Hmm.
pressure, man. I gotta get my buck.
Yeah.
I gotta get something to post, or I'm a failure or whatever if I don't. I
Yeah.
don't care about that
Yeah.
anymore.
Well, I'm getting that way in my life, which I'm 50. So I'm just getting to that place to where it's like, man, I don't even care anymore. I'll tell you where I'm finding great joy recently is this stuff right here, talking to other guys in the hunting industry about their life, faith, and then just how they do stuff and how they manage and how they hunt and I'm really, really enjoying the podcast thing and
Yeah,
just talking to different guys. Like, for example, I'm talking to you and I'll ask you a specific question here in a few minutes that will reveal some of the, your tactics, I guess. But just talking to different guys, like I'm talking to you from a Midwest perspective. And then a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to a guy named Dalton Lewis from the Stick Boys, and he traditional bow hunts, which is what I do a lot of mostly now. And he hunts in the mountains of Virginia, I mean, North Carolina. So it's like you got all these different strategies and all these different places. And it's just fascinating to me to hear people share their stories about that stuff. And so I'm really finding a lot of joy in doing that,
yep,
recently, as opposed to filming and editing a hunt.
yep.
But then again, hunting season's coming up, so I'm getting geared up for that too. So yeah,
Yeah, no, I like hearing that stuff too. Like,
yeah,
I hunt mountainous country and it's
yeah,
totally different than Midwest. And I've
yeah,
hunted all over the place. So I kind of,
yeah.
people think, oh, that guy's just from Iowa.
Right.
And
Yeah,
no, I've hunted everywhere.
yeah,
I've hunted where there's no deer. I've hunted where there's wolves. I've
yeah,
hunted where they die in the winter from starvation. I mean,
yeah,
you name it. I've hunted probably every situation known to man. Um, and yeah, and like the conversation part, like, podcasts and so on. Like, I'm at my farm a lot where sometimes it's just solitude and like
yeah,
tractors and by
yeah,
myself. So to spend time talking or to do a podcast is actually like enjoyable for me. Some people
yeah,
be, oh, dude, I don't want to do it. I don't
yeah,
know. I'm making that up if some people think that, but it's fun for me because it's, I don't do this.
yeah,
Now, if I was back in, hey, I was doing sales and talking every day, and I'm just like, I need to give this a rest. Maybe I
yeah.
wouldn't want to do it, but
Right.
I'm pretty quiet
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so here's a question. Since you said I've hunted everywhere and yada yada, well, I know you said you're originally from Michigan. That right? Did you
Yep.
say that?
Yep.
Michigan. Okay. So one of the best videos, or I would say the most watched video I have on my channel and it's only like 50,000 views or something like that. It's not like my YouTube channel's big, but it's a documentary I did on the Rumpala buck. I want to hear you are being a Michigan man. I want to hear your thoughts on the Rumpala buck to with discretion, I would say.
Okay. I
Yeah.
lived in the same town as where
Okay.
that buck was
Wow.
shot.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see if I can do this with the screen here.
Yeah.
Here's Michigan. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. There's the thumb. Which way would be the right way for you?
Right
This way
there.
or this way?
No, either
This
way,
way?
it's fine. Yeah.
This
That's
way?
good. Yeah, I can see it
Is
right there.
that east
Yep.
then for you?
Uh,
Is that east or west?
that would be east. East.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect then. So I grew up right here. I
Okay.
hunted everything from the Indiana border all the way into the UP and everything in between.
Yeah.
Then I moved here for a little while. Yeah, I think that'd be right. Traverse City.
Yeah.
And I would go into, and I've said this before, but I'd go into the archery shops because I was an obsessed hunter and I'd look through the albums of big bucks. And the guys, when they shot a mature buck, would always take them to all the archery shops and sporting goods stores. Now, getting a big buck to maturity up there was very, very rare. But over decades and countless sporting goods stores and thousands upon thousands of hunters, they got mature bucks. So you look back through decades and you're like, okay, what's the biggest buck I ever saw that was mature that somebody shot? 150,
Yeah.
160, maybe,
Yeah.
maybe, maybe. And then most of them, you say, okay, that's the biggest. Now, what do most mature bucks look like up there due to lack of nutrition, soil type, very sandy soil, very low nutrient value, very little browse value in the forest? There are all these open, some swamps, but very little nutrition, very hard winters. You say, what do most of the mature bucks score? 120, 130, maybe a lot that are 110. So 150, 160 would be like, oh my gosh. Now,
Right.
then you find the guy that shoots the world's record and had shot a state record. And he shot the world record in an area that has only produced 150-inch buck, maybe 160. And now he shoots a 220, 70 inches bigger than anything else. No, it's because he's a great hunter. But listen, there's a lot of great hunters out there. There's thousands of good hunters. There's hundreds of amazing hunters. So
Yeah.
what does he have that the rest of them don't? That he can shoot state records and world records. Well, he found these spots that no, everybody knows this spot. This is not like the Canadian unexplored wilderness where there's these places that no man has been. Everything gets hunted up there. So he
Yeah.
finds these spots that consistently grow 200s. And it's not that he shot the state record and the world record. He's got like 180s and saw two and was after this other one that was 210, and he was after this other one that was 190s, and another one that would have been the world's record. While everybody else, for decade after decade after decade, great hunters, exceptional hunters, only saw maybe a 150.
Right.
Right
Yeah.
there. Come on. So it's just total.
So I'm guessing you don't believe it's real.
Oh, not even. I would bet my farm on this, and
Yeah.
it can't be proven. Like
Right.
we're not gonna have a court case where the answer comes out or some secret envelope, like, or it's probably more hidden than the Epstein list. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, it's not gonna come out, and
Yeah.
supposedly it burned in a fire. But here's the
Yeah.
deal: anybody, if you go to a walleye tournament, I win all of them because I put these weights in these walleyes. We all saw that one, right?
Yeah. Right.
These dudes putting weights in walleyes. What happens at all the fishing tournaments? And this is newer information. It's more recent. You have to get polygraph tests at
Yeah.
fishing tournaments. Why? Because these fishermen are full of crap and they cheat.
Yeah.
But no deer hunters do. Deer
Right.
hunters never would cheat
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
So the where the rubber meets the road, they say to the guy, okay, dude, fine. We have to do an inspection though. Have to. Just like if you caught the world record bass tomorrow, the big dude, we're gonna look for weights now,
Right.
right? We're gonna assess this thing. We're gonna x-ray it. You have to get this thing x-rayed. Wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come
Yeah.
on.
Okay.
You won't go through a standard inspection?
Yeah. So let me ask you this then. Um, because like, how do you think? Okay, and I know this is hypotheticals. All right.
Oh
So,
yeah. And
I
this
mean,
one's out of my
anybody,
wheelhouse.
yeah,
And I know what
anybody,
you're gonna ask.
yeah, anybody who's watching, we're not saying it did or didn't. We're just saying hypothetically. Well, how do you think if it was fake, how do you think he did it?
And there's the one I would have the least amount of like intense opinion
Yeah.
and like the example I said, like this is how mature bucks, how big they get in those regions
Right.
for decades.
Yeah.
That's data. And
That's pretty
it's
much fact.
anecdotal
Yeah.
because I can't sit here and cite a study, but I can tell you
Yeah.
with any drop of common sense, that's an easy conclusion I come up to that is as close to fact as fact. Now, this one, I'm like,
Yeah.
how would I do that? Would I fabricate some antlers? Would I, um, maybe so there was something back in the day of, like his folks owned a high fence down in like Missouri or something. I could
Yeah.
have this stuff wrong, right?
No, I read some of that. Yeah.
This is 20, 30 years back in my memory.
Yeah.
But his parents had a high fence or something like that. Well, if I had that, I can get right up to the deer. I can hand feed them. Well, I could manipulate horns. I could sit there while a buck is growing and bend his horns out this way and just pump them full of freaking nutrients until I got the world record typical. I mean, and that one, somebody's like, he's way off on that. And I probably am. I have no clue on this one, how you
Sure.
would do it. But if I was raising deer and I could somehow manipulate how they grew or, pick this typical out. Now, something's just off. And this one, I'm not saying anything new. Something's just off and how those pedicles come out. It's kind of like this way where any normal deer comes out that way. Something's goofy there. Did he just put in a skull plate and sew it in there? I don't know. And then, okay, if he did that, where did those antlers come from? Are they real antlers?
Right.
Probably they were.
Yeah.
Uh, and somehow they got manipulated. It'd be my best guess. And that's just a loose, broad term that
Well, you
manipulated high fence deer would be my wild
yeah.
guess that I'm probably wrong, but
Yeah.
the part I'm not wrong about is the fact that that did not happen. That part I
Yeah.
don't think
Yeah.
I'm wrong at all.
Yeah. 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 Well, you have to admit that if, and this is one of the speculations that because he did some loose taxidermy work himself or whatever, that he fabricated the rack or whatever and stuff. But you got to admit, if he did do that, that's pretty dadgum good for back in that day to make that set of horns like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They still look funny to me.
They look a little
And
different. The
they
coloration for
look
sure.
bizarre. They don't look
Yeah.
natural.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh the footage is like, it was like back when I was a kid and they said, hey, there's a picture of Bigfoot, and you'd see it. You'd be like, it's a fuzzy, grainy photo. You're like,
Hmm.
really? Think of
Yeah.
that now. Well, I could say I saw Bigfoot and I could make an AI photo that's like, no, dude, he saw Bigfoot
Yeah.
and
Right.
it attacked him and they got into a fight.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Like
And
I
he
could make
won.
that video now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, so, it looked fishy back then.
Hmm.
Um, and then I don't know the guy. Okay, so this isn't
Right.
this isn't personal at all. Like he did something to me. I have no clue. So I lived in that town, never met him once. I don't know anybody that knows him. Right?
Yeah. Right.
He could be a peach of a human being. He could be like, man, I am. My life's on the straight and narrow, and I'm whatever. But I do know everybody out there would say he's had a lot of issues with the law
Right.
and legal issues and
Yeah.
criminal type issues. I don't know. I've just heard that so many times.
Yeah.
And that one too, it's kind of like, if you're giving testimony in court and somebody's like, okay, you're the guy giving testimony, and we've got you in all these cases where you've been convicted of crimes and you've been convicted of, we can prove that you've lied. Your credibility shot.
Right. Yeah.
Me,
Yeah.
based on what I heard, if a lot of those allegations were true, which I think some of them were like publicly like guilty pleas on things, it at least alludes to some character issues on maybe that's the type of guy that might do that type of thing too. I'm not
Sure.
going to make that stretch as definitive, or maybe I do have something wrong there, but um, just the fact that the world record and the state record were shot by the same guy, and all these other 200s were, he was after these 180s, 190s, 200s where they didn't exist.
Yeah.
That's all I need. That's all I need.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Enough info there, huh?
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. All right, I'm gonna let this be the last question because I know you probably got work to do and I do too. But I'm gonna give you a question from a southerner perspective from like where I live, okay, in Louisiana. Of course, Louisiana, where I live, there's a huge hill, and you go down the hill, and it's more farmland, swampland type area, just bottomland. Better deer
Yep.
hunting. Put it
Got
that
it.
way. Yeah.
Yep. I understand.
Up on the hill where I live and where I hunt, also, it's pine timber.
How far
Like,
away are those two?
probably. 6 miles.
Okay. Got
If
it.
I go 6 miles, I'm going down the hill into the farmland.
Got it.
Okay. All right. So here's my question. If you were, let's just say you decide to buy a farm up here where I live, which is strictly pines. You can manipulate the pines any way you want. Like it's not in a program to where you can't cut it,
Got it.
but you bought, just gonna say 100 acres, okay, of
Mm-hmm.
pine timber, and you were gonna come in and set that farm up for you to hunt that piece of property. What would you do with that 100 acres of pine timber to set it up for Skip to
Can
hunt?
I give you an answer you don't want to hear?
No, you can, I don't, whatever you say. Yeah.
Okay. So I'd put a for sale sign on it and I'd go buy in the farm region.
Okay, let's say you don't have that option. You don't have that option.
Uh,
Uh, I should
I
have
get
known
it.
you would say that. Yeah,
I got it.
I
I
would
got
do
it.
that too. Actually,
Yeah, yeah, I
that's
got
I've
it.
got a little money
It's only
right
6 miles.
Yeah, I've got a little money right now that I'm trying to invest in a piece of land, and because I sold my last piece of property, which was my second piece of property I sold, and I want to invest in one, but I do not. I'm just trying to collect on it right now because I do
I
not
get
want
it, dude.
to.
I get it. I'm having some fun with you too.
I want to be
Uh,
in. I want to be in some good
yeah, I get it.
deer
I get it.
property. But
Um,
let's just say the situation is you bought 100 acres
oh
in
yeah, I
pine
got it.
country. What you gonna
I
do with
got
it?
it. And we have a place like that, like my distant family in the UP of Michigan, where it's just rocks and cedars, and there's nothing there. There's no deer.
Hmm.
There's no nutrition. I bet it hasn't been 130 years.
Yeah,
I know um, my cousin and his kids are trying to make it better, but that one's way tougher than what you're dealing with, though.
yeah.
What's the soil like in that pine region? Is it sandy,
No, not too much.
clay, rocks?
No, it ain't no rocks.
Is
It's
it
some clay there.
black
It's some,
topsoil?
yeah, yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Well, that's a huge plus.
yeah.
Um, so I would start thinning those pines
Uh-huh.
majorly, and I would get other types of woody growth and forbs and legumes to start growing in there. I wouldn't want it to just repopulate pines, and I would want other vegetation growing in there that's far more palatable and desirable for deer, and that puts out tonnage per acre. So your woods is acting like a food plot. So I would remove a lot of those pines. I would not remove them all, but I would drastically thin them. And I have that on my land. I have a 100-acre cedar thicket that is nothing but cedars. There's nothing growing under it. There's no nutrition. There's nothing for the deer to eat. The deer can't even get through them. And I spent one season thinning all those cedars down. So for every 10 cedars, I took out 9 of them. Very similar to what you're dealing with. But now I'm not saying you take out 9 for every 10, but
Right.
mine were spaced like this. Like nothing could get through them. Where there should be one tree, there was 10. So
Yeah,
now they're like, here's a tree, and there's a 10, 20 yard opening, and then there's another tree over there. They're
yeah,
just spaced normally. So I would space them normally and then get everything that grows in between in these open areas to be a very, very diverse blend of forbs, legumes, and woody browse. So, it depends what your seed bank has. You'll know that right away. Some of what comes up in your seed bank, down up here, if you did it, you'd be like, okay, some ragweed came in, some pigweed and water hemp, maybe. That's more in the crop stuff. And you, or things like that. You say, well, do deer eat that? Yeah, they gobble it, and farmers say that. And I hate it in my crop field, but in some of those settings over there, it's very desirable. Viney peas, we'll get that popping up all over the place. But if you open it up and you're like, oh man, everything that comes back is like brome and fescue and or this nasty weed that nobody wants, now you really got to put extra effort in there. But even if some desirable things came in, one, that's a great start. And then you can integrate other more desirable things too. You could go see different, I mean, there's a huge list. And I probably would take the time to be like, okay, Louisiana, here's the zone, here's the soil types. These things won't grow well here, these things will. And you could have a list of a dozen things you could see there. Now, that's just on forbs, legumes, and things like that. Now, you also could plant different shrubs and different trees. So you have a little bit of mass production with some oaks. And then you could plant shrubs that the deer both browse on. And that's double-edged sword because they can kill them. But they browse on, put on fruit. And eventually, if they get established, they can start reproducing. And now you have all these, very nutritious shrubs for them to browse on and woody browse. You could put in, things like a pear does well down here, persimmon does well down here, whatever does well that are good production. I would want like fruit producing. This is in addition to everything else I said.
Right.
So I would want fruit producing, like, hey, there's plum, there's pear, there's all, like July through January, there's things falling, and that includes mass like nuts, different oaks, maybe chestnut, and so on. And then my last thing I would add to that, so I mean, the planning list would be obscene, and the thinning list would be pretty obscene. Very doable though, very, very doable. Not like, oh, dude, this is going to take me 10 years and 5,000 hours of work. It's not like that. A few hundreds of hours, in the hundreds. The last thing I would add to that, can you guys do supplemental feed down there?
Yeah. Yeah.
I would do supplemental feed. Can you bait during hunting season?
Oh, yeah. Everybody baits.
Yeah. Hate that. I love supplemental feed though, because it's for the nutrition of the deer. It's to make them healthier. It's to give them the protein content if they're missing it. That's the key word, supplement. Supplement. Right. It's not that's it.
Yeah.
Right? It's just supplementing. But there's for sure nutrients you're lacking in your region, and every region is, and every person is. Somebody be like, I eat out of my garden here, and if somebody looked at all the fruit and all the vegetables are eating and the meat and stuff, to be, oh, you're missing zinc, you're missing this vitamin. Well, deer, and I'm not saying deer need to be absolutely perfect, but I'd want to make them healthier. So I would supplemental feed, but my idea of supplemental feeding has nothing to do with hunting. Zero.
Right.
It's healthier deer, period. It is not during the hunting season. So I'll supplemental feed from the day hunting season ends. And then I'll take a break in the summer when they really don't need it. And then I'll go before season, like all mine's done now. But, and I do that for several reasons. I do it, one, they're healthier deer. They do far better. Their stress is less. And the big one up here, which isn't so predominant down there, is we have a very unnatural situation with this virus, the hemorrhaging virus, which could be either EHD or blue tongue, which both of them hit us and different strains hit us. Right. We have a very unnatural viral outbreak, and we're getting new serotypes up here that are just wiping herds out, wiping them out. And those are not normal native viruses that have always been here. The first discovery was about 1955, maybe 1956, somewhere around there. And the new strains we're getting in Iowa, Ohio, Illinois, Michigan, Minnesota, all these places, these are not native. The deer are not used to this. So why it's wiping herds out. And if you want to sit back and do nothing, fine, no problem. Don't do a thing. Well, that's treating the deer like cattle. That's fine. And if that's your view, I respect it. I actually do. I respect it. But that's not my view. I'm not going to sit here and work the way I do and have the property I do just to let some stupid foreign virus come in here and wipe the herd out. So, I do supplemental feed, which includes a lot of things that help them deal with the virus if they do get it, and also repel the biting of the midge too, like garlic and sulfur. And garlic does both, and sulfur does both. So it would repel the midge, which is transporting the virus, because it's going to bite a cow or a deer. That it starts with cattle. It does. It just starts with cattle. Yeah. So starts with cattle. And then when they get to the deer, if they've ingested garlic, sulfur, down the list, some different things, B vitamins, cobalt, it just helps them deal with it. It helps them deal with the inflammation, and it repels them. So there's two different benefits to sulfur and garlic. And if somebody said, well, what's the evidence on that? Well, there's a whole lot of studies done, especially in So I guess I would have to clarify this. I don't know how many studies have been done in deer, but a whole lot of studies done in sheep, different ruminants where garlic sulfur has some great benefits. And then a lot of studies done. They've studied ivermectin in cattle and the antiviral properties of ivermectin um, are significant. And somebody would say, well, what's the legality on ivermectin in deer? You can't do it. You can't give it to deer because it's just not been studied. There's no, they didn't go through some FDA process. But
Right.
hypothetically speaking, if you could get your neighbor to treat their cattle with ivermectin or cydectin or something, it's going to be a huge benefit.
Yeah. Right.
Huge
Right.
benefit, and that's on label. That's actually what a responsible cattle owner should be doing.
Yeah.
Um, and there is studies with ivermectin in deer on the tick populations, and it's astounding because some of these regions out east and in Texas looked at could we reduce the tick burden because it's killing people, it's giving them Lyme's disease, and it's plaguing the cattle. And then you get these new tick varieties from Asia that do massive damage to livestock. So they studied could we impact the tick population to reduce Lyme's disease, to reduce Rocky Mountain spotted fever by treating the deer. And they have done studies on that. It would be off label. It's not that I can go do them, but it has been studied and
Right.
it has really great evidence. So,
Yeah.
so those are the things I do on your farm. Just a small list.
Yeah.
Just
Oh,
open
just
it all up, plant millions of things.
well, let me go ahead and tell you that um from you, you are highly advanced in your management practices than the average Louisiana fella. Because if
I
I would have
understand this.
if I would have asked that question to guys who live here, here's what they would say. This is what they would say. I tell you what you need to do. You need to thin one of them lanes that goes between them trees, and you need to plant a food plot right there and put a feeder on the end of it.
Yeah, I get it.
That's
I
what
mean,
that's
I'm
what
around these people too, right? And I
yeah,
used to, at some point, you'd be like, "Well, that was your skills, right?"
yeah,
I had
yeah,
no
right.
skills,
Yeah, yeah,
zero. If somebody asked me that question 25 years ago, I wouldn't even give them an answer. I'd be, I
yeah,
have no clue.
yeah,
So I just done this a long time.
yeah.
Um,
Well, that's why it's interesting talking to people. For me, it's interesting talking to people like you who do put a lot of effort into the management side of things and the not just the management of deer, but I mean just the management of property and of the
yeah,
land and stuff like
it's the
that.
whole picture. It's not just
Yeah,
about deer either,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's about everything. It's the whole
Nobody here is
ecosystem.
talking about Forbes and things of that
Yeah.
nature.
No,
They would
I
never
get it.
say that. Yeah,
Now,
yeah,
two things.
yeah.
One, I got to add this one. I would
Yeah.
add very highly fertilized, very nutritious clovers and things
Mhm.
that are growing year round. And I would have those all around my farm. Clovers, maybe a little alfalfa.
Yeah.
I would have diverse food plots. I totally left that out, and I would definitely really follow careful fertilization process for macros and micros. So get your micros tested, add those micros. That's really important. So a diverse food source would be uh, absolutely huge. And then the second thing I would add to that is, keep talking to more people and get like anybody listening to this, get five people's opinion. Don't
Right.
just listen to one guy. Don't listen to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Ask five other people the same question, right? And then, okay,
Yeah.
I'll take a little bit from that guy. That guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
That guy I really agree with, and just mesh your own,
Yeah.
and then it's still going to mesh with, well, I don't know if I want to go through all that. Here's the things I'm willing to do, or here's the effort I want to put into it. Now, but I'm answering it like,
Yeah.
or the guys that really want to do it all, here's what I
Right.
do.
Here's what I do. Yeah. Well, let me ask you this question because there's a guy, and I was watching a lot of videos on this too, but like with things with like Don Higgins and just different guys that manage stuff. And there's a guy named Tony LaPratt or something. You heard of him?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm from
Well,
Michigan, and he was when I was a kid. He was some of the adults I would talk to when I was a little guy, and they're like, "I'm having this guy out to my farm."
yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, here's kind of his philosophy on like small farm stuff, let's just say 100 acres or less. Um, what he says, he always likes to say, I don't care if my bucks go on my neighbor's property at night.
Correct.
But
I would agree with that.
during the daytime, I want them on my property. So here's the way he says. He says what I do is basically he structures his farm, and I went and looked at it the other day online. You look at the topo map of his farm, and it is ridiculous how many different edges and things that he has. It's like a corn maze or something. But he puts little food plots all over and trails that just meander all through, and it basically just keeps the deer moving all over his property instead of walking off on other people's property.
I think that's great.
Yeah, it
I
was the
think it's
weirdest.
excellent.
It was the weirdest thing to look at. Those,
Yeah,
I
but
was
but
like, "What?"
there's something to be taken from that though, you
Yeah,
know. So what he's saying is, you know, the more time the deer spend in the interior of your farm and not on the neighbor, that's not a nutrition thing. That's just it's
keep my deer here where I can kill them.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
keep them so they don't die.
yeah, that's right.
If that's
Yeah,
an age class thing. Hey, dude, everybody in Michigan will shoots every year and a half old they see. Okay, well, we got to keep a few of these year and a half olds, you know, running around in circles in the farm so they don't get blasted by the
yeah,
neighbor, and maybe you could save a couple.
yeah,
Um, so you know, Michigan, you're probably going to get the most extreme version of that because guys are like, dude, it's the worst. It's the worst managed state in the country.
yeah.
It's worse than Louisiana. It
Yeah. Oh,
is.
yeah. Well, I heard your podcast the other day. I don't remember who you were talking to, but you were giving like your thoughts on all the states, like a
Yeah,
lot
it's
of
the
the
worst.
states. Yeah.
It's dead last. It's
Yeah.
dead last in the whole country.
Yeah.
And maybe somebody could be like, well, there's a southern state that allows for $50 a day to be shot, and there's some but for mid, I'll just put it more along the lines of for the Midwest, it's the worst managed state in the Midwest. For
Yeah.
not even close. It's not
Yeah.
even close. Ohio, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York. I mean, I have buddies that hunt all over those places, and well, it's really hard. Yeah. Okay, let's compare it to Michigan. No, Michigan has the worst regulations and the worst management system in the country,
Yeah.
of the Midwest for sure. Um, but so that's why guys have to go to these extreme lengths now, because you know they're trying to keep a year and a half old safe, or maybe get a few deer to 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever. Does that mean we can't do that in other states? Sure, we can, because it's the same game. We have the same problem in Iowa. It's
Yeah.
just not. It's just a different age class. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not trying to keep year and a half old safe. I'm not worrying about it at all. I'm not even worried about 2.5 year olds. I'm worried about like a 3 year old, which is, oh man, I get where I came from, where everybody shot year and a half old. So I'm gonna like now he's talking down to us. I'm not meaning it like this,
Right.
but
Yeah. I
like,
know what you mean.
but I don't want to shoot bomber 3 year olds. I want
Yeah.
to keep those safe,
Yeah.
and most people around here do too. So if there's a guy that's like a bunch of neighbors that are like every year that pops a fence, we smoke every good 3 year old with kickers and flyers, or 2 year old or whatever. No, I want to keep them safe. So the more time they spend on my farm, it just keeps them safe. It's not about me being able to shoot them. Oh, I'm going to get them so they can't. Isn't it? It's
Right.
just they don't get blasted. Not everything gets killed. So
Right.
absolutely, to summarize that, yeah, I think there's merit to doing whatever you can to keep the deer on your farm more of the time.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting listening to that podcast here and his perspective on how to do that, and then turning around and listening to a guy say that because he had 4 guys come to his farm to give him advice.
Mm-hmm.
And like that guy was the LaPratt guy gave him that, and there was a couple of others. And then he said Don Higgins gave him the advice of, for whatever his farm was, put huge amount of food in the middle of the farm. So it was like two different
Merit to that
perspectives,
too. No, I
Yeah.
agree with that too. It's the
Yeah.
same. It kind of is, and I'm just listening to how you portray that, but keeping food in the center of your farm is kind of the same thing, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
keeping the
Keep them in the
deer
middle.
in your
Yeah.
farm
Yeah.
in a safe spot to get, not so you can shoot them, to
Yeah.
just keep them safe so the neighbors don't blast them.
Yeah.
Same goal,
Yeah.
and kind of this, a very similar tactic.
Yeah.
They're different, but so four different examples of guys that have been out to a farm. There probably is merit to each one of those four, right?
Sure. Yeah.
One
And
guy doesn't have it all right, and one guy
yeah,
has it all wrong. There's
yeah.
probably merit to each one of them.
And I think he said in that, if I'm not mistaken, he said that he took some of the things that he liked from all of them, just like you suggested earlier, took some of those things and did a little bit of all of them, kind of a deal.
It's a
So,
wise guy.
yeah, that's right. But here, cut the lane in the middle of the thing and put the feeder at the end of it.
Oh man.
In the middle of your farm, so you can keep them in the middle.
See, that sounds like about 5 million guys I know in Michigan growing up.
Oh goodness,
It's the
yeah.
same mindset. No,
It's
man, we get a dump truck
yeah,
with the corn and the sugar
yeah,
beets, and we're gonna make it so tall it's gonna last the whole season. I mean,
yeah,
I've seen it all. I've heard it
yeah,
all.
yeah. It's but when you get down into the farm country, it's a little bit better. I mean, the for whatever reason, and I know it's because there are bigger deer there and stuff, but people tend to manage better down that way,
Yeah,
than they do up on top of the hill here in the pine country. So
I get it.
yeah,
I understand.
yeah,
Hey man, I'm in the UP in Michigan. We don't see any deer. So
yeah,
when I see this buck right here, because we don't see anything, I shoot
yeah,
it. Okay.
yeah,
I understand the differences.
yeah,
I understand why people do it.
yeah,
So yeah, but I don't know, dude. A 6 mile move for you,
yeah.
the wife will be all right with it.
Yeah, that's right. I just drive down there. It's no big deal.
Yeah, that's actually pretty
That's
easy.
right. Yeah. Well, man, I have enjoyed the conversation. I appreciate you spending actually
Likewise,
an hour and 37 minutes, man, is how long we've been doing this. So not too shabby.
I got to go spend 15 hours on farm work now.
Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go study and do. Actually, I actually have to go to my hometown. I've got to put some money in the bank for my mom. My dad, he's battling leukemia, so I'm having to take care of some of his business and bring stuff to him at MD Anderson and all that. So I'm having to do a little bit of that today. So anyway, trying to take care of him.
Tough one.
Yeah, yeah, it's rough stuff. So, but anyway, I appreciate you, man, and we'll jump off of here and maybe we'll keep in touch and do it again sometime.
Anytime. Thanks for
I
having me.
enjoy the faith stuff for sure, and definitely enjoy hearing all your perspective on the deer.
Likewise.
All right, brother. Have a great day today.
You too.
All right.